Okay, the next book I'll be introducing deals with a theme that we hear about a lot in the news. And you guys being high school students, you are probably going to be familiar with this theme. But before I talk about the book, the theme, I want to ask you a question first. And here's my question to you. Have you ever been or know someone that has been tricked or fooled? Yeah?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Been totally made a fool of?
Yeah.
Of course.
All right. So you think about that person. Now, when I think about it, I think about Kanye West. He had a song out, if I'm not mistaken, called Gold Digger. And in the song, he makes reference to someone. He says, you raise it for, I think if I'm getting it right, he said, you raise it for 18 years, and then he found out it wasn't his. Is that more or less the?
Yeah.
Yeah. So totally deceived. Totally deceived. All right. I have a cousin of mine who is, well, my family background from Louisiana, we were kind of mixed up. Well, her kids have all now, the youngest is over 21, and she finally explained to them that there's at least 5% of African American in the bloodline. The kids had no idea. They were raised their entire lives and they never knew that, you mean we have actually relatives that are black. Now, you look at my dad, well, obviously he's black, my mom's not. But they had no idea that there was at least 5% of African American in that bloodline. And so the kids are like, what else is mom lied about? Yeah. Then there's the thing with this father who recently, his daughter's 21, he was doing this whole fancy Ancestry.com, you know. And you guys may have heard about it. And he found out that his daughter she had none of his DNA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the company mixed up the little tubes, and his donation went to somewhere else, and somebody else's donation went to him, and she's 21, he loves her, he raised her as his own, but thoroughly deceived, thoroughly fooled. He had no idea, that was the case. I mean, so, people are thoroughly fooled out there. Now, how would you feel if that happened to you?
Not good.
Not really done.
Good,
Not
right?
good.
All of a sudden you learn that, mom really isn't mom, or dad really isn't dad, or, just a lot of different, different combinations. Well, the book that we're going to be studying is about a young man who that happened to. Yeah. And it's happened to a lot of Latinos. They'll go, say for example, try to enlist in the military and realize the paperwork that they have states that it's fake. Or they'll go to get a driver's license, or they'll try to enroll into a college, a university, and do a background check. And they realize that, oh man, this is not real. So that's what happened to the author of the book that we're going to consider right now. And he is a Pulitzer Prize winning author, and his name is Jose Antonio Vargas. Very interesting story, because with this gentleman here, he put out this book. It's called Dear America, the story of an undocumented citizen. Now, to tell you a little bit about this guy, this is his picture, and contrary to what most people think when they see the name, he's actually Filipino. A lot of people think he's Mexican. You Filipino? Well, there you go. One of your paisanos, like we say in Spanish. So, Jose Antonio Vargas, journalist, filmmaker, immigration rights activist, born in the Philippines, raised in the United States. So, he was brought here to this country. His parents had fake green cards, and he was led to believe that he was totally legal here until it came time for him to start driving. And then when he went to drive, he went to get his license, and he learned that he wasn't. And so he carries us in his book, he gives us a little bit about what happened to him from that point forward. And I'll read just a little bit here. When he was 12, he was brought to the United States from the Philippines, and he thought he was here illegally until he applied for a learner's permit, then he learned the truth. Then he spent the next 14 years sort of like I Spy, trying to hide out, under a secret identity. And you'll find out that he met someone very influential, the guy who founded Facebook. And when that person asked him about, well, who are you? Where are you from? And that's when he decided to, come clean about who he was. And so this book chronicles that whole journey. And it talks about what it's like. Here you have one moment, this gentleman is an award-winning writer. And then the next moment, he's at the point where he wants to come out, he wants to be free. And that journey of coming to that freeness is what this book is all about. And how he felt, the emotions, and he became vocal. This guy had gotten to be so famous, and he speaks about it. He was at the White House with all the politicians, one of the top writers for the Washington Post. He did everything. He was what we would call the success story, or a success story. And then one day, in the New Yorker, the New York Times, he comes out and he says, by the way, I'm undocumented.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then as the journey goes from that point, I'll let you guys read that when we start reading the book, what happens, what is his current status right now. So let me just tell you a little bit about what he wants you to know about about his book. He called it Notes of an Undocumented Citizen. Listen to some of the things he says. This is not a book about the politics of immigration. This book is not about immigration at all. This book is about homelessness, not in a traditional sense, but in the unsettled, unmoored psychological state that undocumented immigrants like myself find ourselves in. This book is about lying and being forced to lie to get by, about passing as an American and as a contributing citizen, about families, keeping them together, and having to make new ones when you can. This book is about constantly hiding from the government and in the process hiding from ourselves. This book is about what it means to not have a home. So this is the only country he knows. So that is what we'll be reading and what we'll be studying. Now, some of the things that is important to remember, in his book he talks about how do we define who is an American? How do we decide who gets to be a citizen? These are questions that you'll analyze as you do your reading. And what happens to those who enter the United States without documentation? Now, some may be wondering why? Why this book? Why do we want to consider this? Why do you guys think this might be something we want to read? Why I chose this book to read? Why would we read?
Situations that happen here often, pretty much.
Yeah. So you guys are familiar with this. You might see folks and you might not see them later and you wonder what's going on. So this is something that is relevant for our time. And so what this book is going to allow us to do is to put ourselves in the shoes of undocumented young people like yourselves, to understand what they're going through and to understand their plight, so that if in the future you're called upon to kind of reason on this, you understand, oh, I know. I had a chance to kind of get a glimpse of it, because I would never know what it's like to be undocumented. You guys, but reading his story, one moment he was totally respected in the world of journalism. I mean, going to the White House had a pass, and then the next moment he's being sought by ICE, ordered to appear in court for deportation processing. So it's a real interesting journey that he gives. Now, another reason for us discussing this book is that it deals with multicultural and the nature of being multicultural. Do you guys know what it means to be multicultural? Have you heard that term?
Having different cultures in your family, or like knowing different stuff from different countries and languages.
Okay, good.
I was just gonna say being raised in like multiple different cultures and taking stuff from different countries over time.
Yeah, good. You?
Having different flavors of growing up.
Yeah, those are good. I want to read one of the definitions that when it comes down to literature and things like that. And multicultural literature is literature that is anti-racist. It's not, it's not like coming from a racist point, because sometimes people think that's what it is. But it's anti-racist, and it focuses not only on the superficial things like song, dance, food, those things are part of culture, but it's more in depth than just that. But it takes into consideration the people, the values of the people, the beliefs of the people, and just that whole body of stuff about them, more than just a superficial, kind of lightweight party, have a good time, kind of festive type thing. But actually, who are they? Why do they do what they do? And so that's kind of what it gives us, and what it contributes when we think of things in a multicultural way. So when we consider this book, we're going to find out that, because we'll have a chance, this book is going to speak to us about how the undocumented immigrants, young people like yourselves, how they feel. We're going to put ourselves into their shoes and really get a true sense of what they're going through. And so that's the multicultural aspect of it. Not just sharing in the food, the culture, and the dance, but getting into the lives and the thinking and the feelings of them. All right, so here's the assignment that you guys will have, and you'll find this on Canvas. Let's see, I think I have it on the next thing here. The assignment. Okay. Step 1, you will read the book. It's a short read, it's not very difficult. That's step 1. Step 2, you will create a historic timeline of 5 key, or what you would call pivotal events in the life of Jose Antonio Vargas. Step 3, you will explain how you feel about his grandparents bringing him to the U.S. the way that they did. Step 4, you will explain, if you were in the author's shoes, how do you think you would feel about being deceived in the way that he was? If you were in his shoes, how would you feel? Okay, you'll explain that. Next, you will compare and contrast his life with your life. Step 6, you will explain if you think he should or should not be deported. I want to know what you think after reading the book. And last, you must state 2 things that you learned about the experience of undocumented youth that you didn't know before. Any questions regarding the assignment? Yes, sir.
When's it due?
See, what it should take about a week, short reading, a week from today we do. All right? Are we good?
Yes,
All right, let's get it done.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay.